What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. Welcome to the R-News Morning Show. And let's just jump into it. From r/World News. US refuses to join global COVID-19 vaccine effort because it is led by the WHO. Can we opt in on an individual basis? Can individual states choose to opt in? I know we can't, but the thought is nice. The reasonable states are being held hostage here. Would it be wise for the US to just become 50-ish countries right about now? That's basically what a libertarian perspective is. States decide most laws. Federal government acts as the EU in mandating basic requirements. Or, let's see just how bad Alabama can get. That's the Russian endgame. Look up balkanization. It's basically what they would like to happen in the US because it wipes out our global influence. Edit to add. Folks, I'm not pulling this out of my butt. Google Foundations of Geopolitics by Alexander Dugin. The whole plan is written down. It's not like it's a secret or anything. It's all fun and games until the new California Republic wants to expand. Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter. Shushed spoilers for November. I truly despise everyone in this freaking joke of an administration. You mean Trump refuses? Don't lump me into this crap. This is the same Reddit that constantly refers to China and Russia as if their governments are their people. Being an American is so embarrassing these days. Source: I'm American. You're watching the R-News Show. From r/News. Calling 911 with a false claim because of race can now put you in prison for years in NJ. It should, and I thought was, be a crime to make false claims about anyone. Also, it seems like it would be difficult to prove somebody made a false claim due to race, religion, gender, etc., unless the person making the call outright admitted it. If I were to call the police to notify them a person of a different race was involved in a crime, and it turned out they weren't, how do they determine if it's racially motivated? I think this exact concern is probably a big reason as to how this law actually managed to get enacted in the first place. I have a feeling that actual prosecutions based on this law will be few and far between. For exactly the reasons you stated. It looks good politically and likely won't be very impactful on most people, which is a politician's wet dream. Hopefully it helps to dissuade the behavior, even if prosecution is unlikely. Also, it will likely be used in the event of any high-profile, open and shut obvious cases, which again looks good politically. It is difficult to prove, but there are situations in which it can be. Like when someone explains that they're about to do it and why on camera. That's pretty convenient. I'm calling 911 right now, and I'm going telephone tell them a black guy is attacking me. You're watching the R-News Show. From r/News. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend says in $10.5 million lawsuit that he lives in constant fear. I believe him. Her old ex-boyfriend was arrested and the police offered to give him a pardon if he lied and falsely claimed she sold drugs. Her ex refused and took a 10-year sentence to protect her name. Try and tell me the cops aren't corrupt, and try and tell me Shush is not a good person if her ex would take 10 years just to save her name. And even further, even she did sell drugs, how does justify being shot to death by police as you sleep in your bed? This right here, this is the freaking point people aren't getting. Guilty or not, we are supposed to be assured of trial and due process. Police are not judged res. Edit. Should have been judged red. But autocorrect got me, leaving up for posterity. And because it's funny. Further edit. My first award. Thank you, kind stranger. How to make the obligatory kind stranger remark. Judge dressed that emissary last season. Shot in the face. Of course he's afraid. They know where he lives. He'll probably be fine since they aren't competent enough to read an address correctly in the first place. Edit. Okay guys, I get it. They clearly fabricated those no-knock warrants after the fact. My reasoning is that this happened in Louisville and they're probably one of the few places stupid enough to try that. Plus, I'm still not convinced police in that city have a reading prerequisite. Yeah, it's his goddamn neighbors that should be terrified. You're watching the R-News Show. From r/World News. Iranian wrestling champion receives a double death sentence on top of 74 lashes while his two brothers are jailed for a total of 81 years for taking part in a protest against the regime. This is the best TL. Dr. I could make. Original reduced by 79%. I'm a bot. An Iranian wrestling champion has been sentenced to death for taking part in protests against their regime in 2018. Iran and #039's Supreme Court confirmed 2 death sentences for Naveed Afkari along with 6 years and 6 months in prison and 74 lashes. According to Persian-language broadcaster Iran International, a source close to the brothers said Naveed, a wrestling champion with no criminal record, and his siblings had joined in the protests and #039. So the judiciary deemed the participation of all 3 brothers as the organization of a group and #039. British-Iranian actress Nazanin Boniadi pleaded with Iran not to execute the brothers, saying, and #039. Champion wrestler Naveed Afkari has been sentenced to death for participating in anti-government protests in Iran, and #039. Those close to him have said he was subjected to a forced confession under torture. Extended summary, FAQ, feedback, top keywords, Iran #1 protest #2 brother #3 death #4 Naveed #5. Iran is fricked. The pity is, it is such a beautiful country with mostly great people. They deserve better. As all countries. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics, Russian hackers leak personal data of nearly every voter in Michigan, plus 1 million more voters in 4 other states. Welp, if you live in Michigan and your data hasn't been leaked, you likely aren't registered, so register and vote. Maybe, ironically, the leak of this info can help people target who isn't registered and help them zero in on them to get registered and vote. The leak is to invalidate these votes. Now in November all of these votes are going to be questionable, despite the long history of Russian collusion with Trump, and his being a noted Russian asset. And us all knowing that Daddy Putin has a video of Donald being peed on by 12-year-old Russian prostitutes. Frick you Moscow Mitch. Any one of the dozen or so bipartisan election security bills you killed might have prevented this. In a swamp full of baddies. You're the goddamn Kraken. That's not the best part. Russians turned in the data they found for the reward offered by the State Department for election interference. One hacker claims they received a $4,000 payment. Weird how they knew to target states where Trump is struggling but must win. Michigan, North Carolina, Florida. Remember who the head advisor of Trump's cybersecurity team is? Mr. I texted my password to reporters Giuliani. Edit. Misspelled Rudy's name. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics. Fact-check video showing Joe Biden falling asleep during live interview is manipulated. Donald Trump falls asleep during coronavirus meeting with governors. I think they're just going down the list of every stupid thing Trump has done and flinging crap at Biden for it. Edit. Didn't realize this would blow up. For those still trickling in who are saying this is just as bad and possibly manipulated, you're missing the entire point. 1. This was just to demonstrate that for every low-effort smear on Joe Biden you can easily find there. Same for Trump too. Biden's video was 100% doctored propaganda. This is just a boring video of Trump in a meeting. 3. My comment here was a response, not a premeditated, proactive, widespread disinformation effort like Biden's video. 4. I'm sure Pobrecito Trump appreciates your concerns that this is unfair, but if this video causes him to lose a few votes, then I'll take my modest political win against the dishonest GOP machine that's trying to make Biden lose millions. Accuse your enemy of that which you are doing. Fascism 101. God damn it, people are stupid. She actually calls him Harry at one point in the video. Why would someone think this was real? You don't say. I'm starting to feel like the circus isn't getting made for everyone anymore because the show is outright insulting to any form of intelligence. And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like, and if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show and I'll see you tomorrow.